From Carolla One Studios and Gina's house and Bryan's house, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, Patton Oswalt. With Gina Grad on news, Bald Bryan on sound effects, and Bet Online's Dave Mason drops by. And now offering angry tirades for curbside pickup, Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on. Mandate. Get it on. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for sharing. You just hit the little share button, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
Handball, Brian.
Tell me about that, Grandpa Carolla.
Patton's going to be on the show today. Watch his stand-up special last night. Very funny. I realized I'd seen some of it at the Improv a few months earlier when he went up. I guess he must have went up right before me at the Improv, and he was, unbeknownst to me, he was working on that material for his stand-up special. So I watched about 20, 25 minutes of that material from the Improv in, I don't know, December last year. And then and I saw a lot of it in the special, just as funny second time around. Also, his deceased wife has that special coming out, if you can say it that way. That's six-parter on HBO, and we'll get into that as well. Very interesting story. I was on my rowing machine last night. I was watching...
Chasing the elusive ace man?
Yes, and I was watching The Last Dance with the sound down. Now, there's not much on TV. ESPN is a nice soft slipper that I would slide into at the end of the day every day, and it's gone. My Huggy Bookie of ESPN is gone. Right. And like I said, they have the cornhole championships. Guys,
boy, do they.
I was watching it. I mean, obviously we're laughing. Guys are wearing Crocs while engaging in that sport. And the other thing is that I saw it the other night, and they're all wearing masks. And I thought, this wouldn't affect other sports as much because how in the cornholing world, like how are you going to drink and how are you going to smoke with that mask on while you're cornholing?
How are you going to spit your chew?
That's right, your dip. So I'm watching that, and I turn it on, and I'm watching The Last Dance. And what I do is I watch it silently while I row. I just put an earbud in and listen to music, and I just watch. I physically watch it. And then at some point later on in the night, I'll go back and watch that part again, this time with all the voiceover, narration, everything. And it's like watching it 1.5 times. It's kind of enjoyable just watching it, and then it's more enjoyable, obviously, when you have all the dialogue. But
yeah, because there are elements of it that you need the dialogue for, stories and anecdotes or whatever. But there's parts of it where like, oh yeah, the Bulls are having a tough time in this series with the Pacers. Like, I get it. I'm watching and I understand.
Totally, it's very watchable. And then I had this weird vision, sort of joke. I guess when you think like me, you try to think of everything as like a sketch, like a man show sketch. And I was picturing myself I was picturing myself in a bathrobe with like a long gray beard and, tumbleweeds blowing down the street. And, it says, the year is 2047. And I turn on ESPN and it's like, we now return to the Mitch Kupchak story, part 29. And it's like, as if we've been closed down for 50 years and we're running out of NBA players to do exposés on. And I'm just sitting there with my tattered hand watching the Mitch Kupchak story.
Tom Chambers Tales, part 8.
Right, because this thing has been entertaining. But anyway, I'm watching it and it's all silent, but a lot of commercials coming on these days. And obviously, it's not for Six Flags Magic Mountain. They're not having the old guy with the bald cap on dancing. And the commercials are now, we've been locked down. So at the beginning of the lockdown, they just ran commercials. Like, hey, come down to Jiffy Lube and get your oil changed. And now we're running commercials for food delivery and a lot of feel-good first responder-y things and stuff. And a lot of commercials that are sort of made for this. And
Well, the craziest one, the Uber, thanks for not taking Uber, stay home commercials, which I talked to Christy about and I thought was an incredible spin by the company.
I saw the first commercial I saw was a PSA on domestic abuse that I didn't know what it was about because the sound was down. It just went in on a guy. The Max Paddle, well, there we go. It's outside of a window at night. Guy's washing his hands. There's just some music. There's no dialogue. You can play it. Guy's like got his window open on his kitchen. He's washing his hands. The camera's panning in. It's sort of moving in on the guy's hands. It says there's an epidemic you can't wash your hands of.
Oh my God.
All right, stop it.
No. Oh no.
Terrifying.
They pull up tight. There's a woman who could be nude or maybe she just forgot her pantyhose. I don't know.
It's a dead hooker.
She's knocked out.
It's a woman's feet from the, bottom of the knee down that is knocked out on the floor. You don't know if she's dressed. You don't know who she is. He's washing his hand, presumably getting the blood from underneath his cuticles. She's knocked out, and I'm looking at it. So it's a kind of commercial you have to picture. I'm rowing away, seeing a picture of a guy washing his hands and going, all right, Purell, okay, another commercial about washing your hands. And they pull him tight. Now, Chris, you said the foot moved?
Yeah, if Caitlin plays a little bit right before it cuts away, you see the feet move. So not completely.
It's like Twilight Zone. During COVID-19, domestic violence has risen dramatically. She's trying to get away.
Oh.
I can't read that fast, by the way. So if you hear something, say something. Now, look, it's been a while since I've opened a can of whoop ass on the old lady, but anyone knows the first thing you do is you shut the fucking window.
You're due.
You don't advertise to the neighbors what's going on. You close those windows and shove it
Failure
down.
plan is a plan to fail.
Well, in the PSA, you said if you hear something, well, of course you're going to hear something. The fucking window's open. I can hear him washing his hands. So the window probably should be shut. But either way, that I saw a commercial about a guy knocking out a woman. I thought, well, that's dandy. The next commercial I saw was a Boy Scouts commercial.
Oh, God, they knock out a Boy Scout.
Oh, no.
Paid advertisement for legal services. Attention, former Boy Scouts. If you were sexually abused by an adult Scout leader, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Boy Scout management has agreed to...
Okay. So the next one...
What is this dystopia we live in?
Well, I've said many times, you want to know where we're at, look at the commercials. Look at the commercials. Yeah. When you see those commercials from the 50s, like, you'll be the king of the road in a Chevrolet, the family guy smoking a pipe, and she's worried about ring around the collar, and the mother-daughter team are walking on the beach talking about that not-so-fresh feeling. Like, you'll know right where we're at. This is where we're at. We're at stay at home. Don't put your hands on anybody, but do collect some checks. The third one, these are all just in order. Now,
oh my God.
Think about it. If you are a company and, you do party planning or something like that, you're not going to waste a nickel on advertising now. But if you're a law firm with a class action lawsuit, now people are home, they need to get paid. Yeah. All right. The next, the trilogy, the third one. Here we go. In a row.
This is a legal alert for women diagnosed with ovarian cancer following the use of talcum powder for feminine hygiene purposes.
I wanted to row into an actual river in my rowing machine and just drown myself. I wanted to duct tape myself to a rowing machine and go in it. And if you guys don't think these things are indicative of where we're at, it is the only yardstick you need to measure where we're at. It's it. You can listen to what politicians say, what radio show hosts say, authors, book writers, whatever. You can listen to whatever you want. You want to know exactly where we're at? Look at these commercials. They always hit the target. They're always on target. It is their business to be on target. They can't throw money away. They can't waste money. So I was thinking.
Whereas before, those may have fallen not on deaf ears, but like if you were affected by whatever, you've been like, nah, don't feel like suing. Times are tough. People are out of work. People need money.
People are desperate.
The siren song is louder.
Well, you need to get paid, and you can't leave the house. So makes sense. I would imagine they do things regionally. I'd bet you in states that weren't locked down, they probably run less of those than the ones that are locked down. It makes sense. If you're locked down, you're locked down.
And I know we had some hot lottery talk the other day. I can't remember if we discussed, has there been a spike in lottery sales through this pandemic, through the quarantine?
I don't know. It's something worth looking for. So I of course, I then thought about my Debbie Dutzen commercials and my School of Trucking commercials. Do we have Debbie or Wally School of Trucking? We'll do a mashup later. Dawson's chomping at the bit, but do we have the commercial is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, Caleb's pulling it up right now.
Do you want to make big money? Say goodbye to creditors, unemployment, and poor-paying jobs? Get out in a big rig and make big money.
I worked in a gas station. Then I got my Class 1 truck driver's license. I have never been out of work since. You can have your license in 1 week.
Dutzen driving schools are the best. Ask me. I'm Debbie Dutzen.
Austin could have killed it as a voiceover guy back in the day. He missed his time.
Now, let me hear that first guy again. There's no way that guy's a professional truck driver or runs a truck driving school. That guy is a finely honed professional voiceover actor. Listen to him.
Do you want to make big money? Say goodbye to creditors, unemployment, and poor-paying jobs.
That guy's like Hal Holbrook. There's no way that guy runs a trucking school. That's a gun for hire. That guy's probably doing Brill Cream commercials the next day, probably doing, Chuck Heston movies coming out.
Some ADR.
Yeah, no way. No way. It's too smooth.
Yeah.
Too polished. One more time, Dawson. It's just, listen to it. It just drips professional.
Do you want to make big money? Say goodbye to creditors, unemployment, and poor-paying jobs?
Yeah, no way.
Get out in a big rig and make big money.
No way. That guy's a pro. So either way, the message is there. The Dutzen School of Truck, and she should know. She's Debbie Dutzen. And again, it was all about you want to pay off creditors, not declare bankruptcy. Not we'll take care of the creditor. All the commercials now, we're going to consolidate this, we're going to take away that, and get out of your timeshare. It's all about getting out of shit, right? You owe the IRS money, you owe creditors money, you owe timeshare money. We'll get you out. Stay home. We'll get you out. Class action lawsuit. This was about we'll get you a job you can pay your creditors, and then you can make a living, support your family. That wasn't that long ago. There's commercials like from the 70s and the early 80s. Wanting a job. Okay.
Different era.
Yeah, times change.
Well, it's a harbinger, people. I told Dawson maybe you can mash up something there.
Yeah, the Boy Scout commercial, if you just played it a little bit longer, it gets interesting.
Oh, okay.
Attention, former Boy Scouts. If you were sexually abused by an adult scout leader, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation.
Ask me. I'm Debbie Dutzen.
But time is quickly running out to file a claim. Call our law firm's Boy Scout Abuse Helpline right now.
Ask me. I'm Debbie Dutzen.
Wow, it does get interesting.
Yeah, did not see that one coming. All right, so that was interesting as I was rowing away. I thought, and I do this, and I would suggest you guys do this kind of stuff as well. I'm rowing away. I got another 20 minutes to row. I'm seeing these commercials, and I'm like, I don't want to forget these commercials, but I'm in the middle of rowing away, and I don't have a pen next to me. I can't get up and jot this stuff down. And so what I will do, and I'll suggest it to you, which is take something and make it out of the ordinary around you. So I go down, I wear my glasses, and I go down there and I look at my phone or look at something. And then when I start rowing, I'll take my glasses off and I'll just set them right next to me, next to my glass of water on the floor where I'm rowing. If I want to remember something that I think of, which I oftentimes do in the middle of rowing, as you could imagine, I'm just sitting there for half an hour, I have ideas. I take my glasses that are on the ground and I throw them like 6 feet ahead of me on the floor of my gym, because I'll know when I'm done rowing, I'll want to know why those glasses are sitting in the middle of the floor, not next to me, and then I'll remember it's something I was trying to summon up, and I'll usually grab it at that point.
That's the old string around the finger trick.
Right.
You do something different, and you're like, why is that there? Oh, yeah, we're supposed to be above.
And as we've learned at Carolla Studios, that's the old car keys in the refrigerator trick.
That's right.
Well, car keys in the refrigerator, and I'm glad you brought that up, is the same to some degree, but to another degree, it's you cannot leave.
Yeah.
You physically
can't leave, which is smart. Drew would put his flu vaccine, remember those days, the flu?
Mm-hmm.
Flu vaccine, which needed to be refrigerated, come in here and do 5 podcasts with me, knowing he was going to walk out without it if he didn't leave his keys in there. Also, had a funny conversation with Drew last night about the do not resuscitate and the do not resuscitate orders that we're kind of talking about, like where you posted or how do the paramedics know? So you're a 90-year-old woman, you live alone, you're passed out in your bed, or your maid comes over, your helper, and calls the paramedics. How you're in your nightgown, like how do they know?
Right.
Drew said there is a document that you keep in a pill container in your refrigerator, and the paramedics go to the refrigerator and they know to look for that document in that pill container. And I said,
wow.
I started thinking about it. I said, well, inside the refrigerator in like a pill container. He said, yeah. I said, why not just kind of post it on the refrigerator? Just tape it to the front of the refrigerator. And he said, you mean like the grandkids' art? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, because it would bum everyone out all the time. Every time that Nana went to go get her pet milk out of the refrigerator, that she'd be looking at this do not resuscitate thing. But he said they know to go to get it. I don't know, Max Pat, if you can find that. I don't know exactly what he's talking about.
It makes sense. It's quietly a very secure place. I mean, like I've had one of the baking soda or whatever in the back of the fridge, to keep the scents from getting all nasty. It's been back there for a year. I totally forgot about it. Like if you but it's something you keep in your fridge, it's it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. It's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, well, you couldn't put it in your medicine cabinet because it's filled with other stuff. You couldn't really put it by your bedside or randomly or by the front door or whatever it is. But if you're a paramedic, you went to the fridge, you opened the fridge, and you saw a pill container in there, not mayonnaise, but a pill container, you could pull it out and go, that's what it is. But Chris, you can look that up. I was talking to him. He sent me a article or a quote from Dietrich Bonhoeffer, I think his name is. Dietrich.
Right.
Dietrich. Hey, Drew, I appreciate you sending me that quote from Dietrich Bonhoeffer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was
a member of Kraftwerk.
Had a sad life. He was like a German or Austrian guy. He was in the clergy. He was born in like 1905 or something like that. He was a real scholar, and he was perishing during a war is bad. Perishing right before the war ends is bad. He was hanged in Germany like a few weeks before Hitler killed himself, which is such a bummer, especially for a great thinker.
Timing.
He was took a stand against the Holocaust and was in prison.
Crimes against the state or something like that.
Right. They just killed him literally 3 weeks before Hitler killed himself. But he had a quote, and Drew sent it to me because Drew and I have been circling around the same kind of thing, and I've noticed it a lot with people I've worked with people I know, and society at large. So Dawson's going to read it and tell me how it feels to you.
Stupidity is a more dangerous enemy of the good than malice. One may protest against evil. It can be exposed and, if need be, prevented by use of force. Evil always carries itself within the germ of its own subversion.
All right, hold on a second. First, interesting. I've been noticing a lot of fucking dumb people making a lot of really bad decisions and fucking shit up. But I realized, like, I would say to people all the time, he's not a bad guy. He's just dumb. You know, he makes bad decisions. But I've realized in that quote, if you think about it, if a person is evil or a bad person or a whatever person, there is a way of dealing with them. Sometimes it's through force. Sometimes you entice them. You know, if you have to sit down and settle something with a bad person, that bad person wants to get paid or wants whatever.
Right.
Dumb people, there's no path to fix things. They know what they know. It's a very interesting thing. It's interesting that dumb people do more damage than bad people. There's more of them, and nobody knows how to herd them or corral them or fix them. And I'll give you an example. I've said to somebody, you would rather do a business deal with a guy who knew business, even if he was a shark. You'd rather cut a deal with Mark Cuban than you would a dumb person. And you go, well, why not? Wait a minute. The dumb person I'm going to take advantage of. No. The dumb person thinks they should get a bigger cut than you. That's how the dumb, you would rather have an educated, well-schooled, even a nefarious person to cut this deal with than a dumb person. And this is something I've been thinking about, but I can't wrap my head around it because we all think dumb people are nice. They're just dumb. But it turns out a lot of them aren't that nice.
Right.
Sorry. Go ahead, Dawson.
Evil always carries its. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say real quickly, he's funny. He compared stupidity to malice because here we are in our society almost 100 years later after he probably made this quote, like our society has ways of dealing with evil people with malice. You know what I mean? You go to jail, you blah, 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 police. If you're stupid, you can vote, you can drive, you can do all sorts of bad things. You're just dumb.
You can make policy if you're in that position. I mean, if you think about some of the folks, some of the characters politically that are on the stage these days,
sure.
How bright do some of these people seem? There's a couple of them seem sharp, not many. All right, here goes. Sorry.
Evil always carries within itself the germ of its own subversion, in that it leaves behind in human beings at least a sense of unease. Against stupidity, we are defenseless. Neither protest nor the use of force accomplish anything here. Reasons fall on deaf ears. Facts that contradict one's prejudgment seem simply not to be believed. In such moments, the stupid person even becomes critical, and when the facts are irrefutable, that they are pushed aside and when facts are irrefutable, they are just pushed aside as inconsequential and incidental. In all this, the stupid person, in contrast to the malicious one, is utterly self-satisfied and, being easily irritated, becomes more dangerous by going on the attack. For that reason, greater caution is called for when dealing with a stupid person than with a malicious one. Never again will we try to persuade the stupid person with reasons, for it is senseless and dangerous.
They're bigger. Yeah, the stupid
He hit
people.
that right on the head.
Stupid people are also a huge waste of time. Like, not of time, of your time. You tell them the same things over and over again. You have these fucking insane discussions / arguments. They know what they know. That's part of being stupid. You cannot sway them to anything. And just beneath stupid is angry with a lot of stupid people as well. But I've been thinking about this for a number of years, and I wasn't able to kind of put my finger on it, but I was like kind of talking to Drew about it. It's my kind of, I would rather have a person with character than a nice person. Oftentimes, the stupid people are very nice, which makes it really confusing because they fuck up a lot of shit. They don't self-correct, and they're nice.
Right.
And so they kind of hide, again.
Which makes you the bad guy.
It does. Like, you can hear a biker gang coming down the street. Like, those are those dudes. Go get them. Go deal with them. And there's ways to deal with that. You can get a lawyer. You can call law enforcement. Like, there's literally fences and alarms and, security cameras. We have a whole, metal detectors. We have a whole world sort of built around bad people. We really can't do anything with the stupid people. And there's a lot more of them than there are Hell's Angels.
Mm-hmm.
And like you kind of intimated, you can negotiate with a quote unquote evil person because
there's
they want something.
There's something in it for them.
Exactly. A stupid person doesn't know what they want. They just want it, whatever it is. And that's how you deal with, sociopaths and narcissists. You can't argue with them. You'll drive yourself insane.
Well, that's what I was saying to Drew last night, which is evil. So stupid and evil or bad is sort of like this. You can deal with bank robbers. Bank robbers are bad people who rob banks, but you can put up security this and gates and fences and blah, 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 and you can kind of almost eliminate bank robbery. You can never eliminate school shootings.
Right.
That's just random. That's just stupid. You know what I mean? Like, that's random stupid. They're both bad players, but what I'm saying is when you're dealing with stupid people, you're dealing with people who are serial killers or school or are going to shoot up a school. If you want to stop the Brinks trucks from being robbed or the banks from being robbed or the liquor stores from being robbed or the airplanes from being blown up by Al-Qaeda, there's a mode for that. There's a path for that. You can go down that. You can go, we're going to reinforce all the cockpit doors on all commercial airlines. You go, okay, that's going to help. That'll make a difference.
Right. But even with the bank robbers, to sort of further your point, you know what they want. So you give them the money and then you get to walk away safely. So at least you know what the exchange is.
That's the interesting thing, too. Stupid people, you'll never know what they want.
I think they know what they want.
Right.
I do know what they want. They want you to leave them alone. But that's all I've been able to glean from stupid people thus far. I was talking to Drew about it, and he was like, half our population is under the Mason-Dixon line for IQ. It's like half. It's like, okay, so you're going to run into a lot of these people. They're out there. And my feeling is this. There's always been stupid people, and there's always going to be stupid people. Let's not empower them. They've been empowered. See, we have done some sort of campaign. Maybe it's the self-esteem movement. I don't know. But there's something which is stupid and nice, no problemo. You get yourself a job at the car wash. You have your friends. You have your team. You have your dog and your old lady. That's fine. Stupid and empowered, that's scary. That's weaponized now. We've all dealt with the fucking stupid guy with the badge, stupid guy with the windbreaker. Stupid guy's making the rules, who's standing in front
clipboard.
Right, that guy. This is a problem, and I don't know how to get it back. But I'm just Dawson, just read the top line of that one more time, so it completely resonates with people.
Stupidity is a more dangerous enemy of the good than malice. One may protest against evil. It can be exposed and, if need be, prevented by use of force. Evil always carries within itself the germ of its own subversion, in that it leaves behind in human beings at least a sense of unease. Against stupidity, we are defenseless.
Sad but true.
Yeah.
I just saw
prophetic.
I saw it last night. Drew sent it to me because he knows I've been thinking about it and talking about it and wondering about it and realizing there's nothing you can do with stupid. And we're going to have to. My feeling is this. I think in 50 years, we'll all be chicks. There was a chapter called Minimum Wage, Gilded Cage. And it basically said, we got a bunch of dumb shits. We paid them minimum wage. And we told them, you enforce all the rules.
Right.
And I said,
of society.
Yeah, we're essentially ruining our own lives by taking really dumb people who, remember, they're little dumb, but they're also angry as well. We're giving them a headset, a clipboard, and a badge. And we're telling them to herd the sheep, and we're the sheep. Brian had a Obama commencement speech part about, I guess, saying that you thought adults were smart, they're not so smart, or some version of that I thought might be good, well-timed.
Yeah, from Obama's commencement speech, it was making the rounds virally. Like, the adults are not, they're not as smart as you thought they would be when you were a kid. I'm like, Adam Carolla's been saying that for years. Like, did you ever think adults would be this stupid?
All those adults that you used to think were in charge and knew what they were doing, turns out they don't have all the answers. A lot of them aren't even asking the right questions. So if the world...
There it is. God damn. From your mouth to God's ears. All right. So I thought you guys would enjoy that. We'll talk a little gambling in a moment. First, I'll tell you about Screwball Whiskey. Tomorrow's not Whiskey Day. We had Whiskey Day 3 days ago or something, right?
Why can't Whiskey Day be every day?
Every day.
Whiskey is what you make
Whiskey Week.
Let's make every day Whiskey Day. That's what I'm saying. Great holiday. And perfect way to connect with friends during the quarantine. I actually had some Screwball whiskey and a little Mangria the other night, and it was delectable. And Carolla Digital, we're all celebrating with a shot or two over the Zoom. So have some fun, raise a glass, and get a little Screwball in you. This stuff is peanut butter flavored whiskey. It is good. We've pretty much went through the whole bottle at the Christmas party last year, if you can remember that, or maybe we can't remember it. So from all of us at Carolla Digital, we raise a shot glass of Screwball whiskey and have a safe, fun whiskey week, whiskey day, whiskey month with Screwball. All right, we'll take a quick break. Come right back with Dave Mason, talk some sports right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Yeah, hi, this message is for Gina. Gina, I just want to let you know that I find you very attractive. I also find Gwen Stefani very attractive, but for some reason when you do Gwen Stefani, I find it a turnoff, ironically. However, I don't find Nancy Grace attractive, but when you do it, it seems to do it for me. Can't explain that one.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Gina Grad, what if Nancy Grace was angry at Gwen Stefani for walking around without a mask on, and she left it into Gwen Stefani's phone machine? So the first we would hear Gwen Stefani's outgoing message, and then we would hear that.
Can we ring her up?
Oh, hold on a second. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not home right now. Walking in this photo with my leave a message and I'll call you back. Unlikely story, but leave a message and I'll call you back. Beep. Wah, wah, wah. Gwen Stefani, if that is your real name. I am so sick of these left-leaning liberal rock stars thinking they're above the law. Guess what, sweetie? Nobody's above the law. Everybody has to wear their mask or blood will be on your hands.
Hold on. Hold the phone ring. This is Blake Shelton. Who is this?
Oh, Mr. Shelton.
Yeah, I'm Blake Shelton. What? My wife Gwen's in the shower. Who's talking into her phone?
I didn't mean any disrespect. I'm a huge fan of your work. I think you are a tall and handsome drink of water, but I do have some problems with that lovely lady of yours. She thinks she is above the law when it comes to wearing a mask to prevent the spread of disease around this great, great nation of ours.
I don't know who this is. Who is this?
I'm Nancy Grace. The Nancy Grace Files.
Oh, yeah. I don't watch, I'm not a Fox guy.
Excuse me?
No.
This is Blake Shelton?
No, I don't. I pretty much just BET.
BET? What, like a sandwich? The BET?
No, that's Black Entertainment Television. I know. The country songs, the hats, the pickup trucks, the boots. That's all facade. I'm actually...
I'm not familiar.
I'm gay.
Oh.
And I'm half black. My dad's black. Maybe I've said too much. Gwen is a beard, what they call a beard. Okay? I have a beard, but I just grew that for country.
So let me get this straight. You're both living this life in direct defiance of God's will?
I really hope this isn't recording on her phone anymore, because this isn't something I've shared with her, and this probably wouldn't be the right forum for her to hear it. But
you're going to want to go ahead and grab that little cassette tape out of the machine, because this is all the message I was leaving when she was not calling me back because of the spider web.
Well, she's in the shower, like I said. I appreciate you, darling, looking after her. But remember, I'm half black and I'm gay. Oh yeah, it's Gwen. Yeah, Gwen. Yeah, no, we'll be back in the.
Is that Nancy Grace?
You gotta lather, rinse, repeat. You gotta repeat. You only wash your hair once.
What have I told you about talking to Nancy Grace? Don't speak. I know just what you'll think.
Go ahead and use my mane and tail shampoo, because I ride horses, because I'm country, you know.
Y'all seem to have a lot going on right now. I'm going to go ahead and let you talk to your wife. Please make sure she wears a mask next time she goes outside so she doesn't kill everybody. Bye.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was a cable guy. I just want to know if the reception was good.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go tilt.
I'm glad you took care of that for me, because I'm just a girl and I couldn't call the cable guy.
Yeah, I'm going to go have a Coors in my pickup truck, okay?
Oh, that is so on brand, Blake.
And remember, not gay.
You're not gay?
And scene.
Okay.
All right, sorry.
That was a long message.
It was. Dave Mason.
I blew my throat out.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, man. There's a show after the dance with Stephen A. Smith on a SportsCenter special. That's 8 p.m. on ABC. That's tonight? Or tonight?
Tonight to hear this.
Oh, did you hear this? Huh. Oh, I didn't know that. Horace Grant's on that, and Bill Cartwright. Those guys have been all over the show. Dave, are you involved with that? How do we do that?
Now we got another show going on with Bill Cartwright, Craig Hodges, Horace Grant, and hopefully Ron Harper, hosted by Dave Kaplan from ESPN and NBC Sports. So we have our own thing going on kind of after the dance, kind of follow up from the popular ESPN The Last Dance. That ours is going to be aired next Sunday. We'll be releasing excerpts all week on the site betonline.ag.
It's such a popular show. I guess it's just spawning off other shows because people want to know what the story behind this or behind that is. It's so fascinating, and I don't. Yes, Brian.
Dave, will yours feature the focus on the two Wizards years of Michael Jordan later on?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
it's a real missed opportunity.
Yeah, well, that might come up. I mean, we're going to try to focus on that, since we're a gambling website. We're going to try to touch upon some gambling stories with MJ. So yeah, from the players' perspectives, and the host note was pretty close to MJ too. So I think he has some good stories to share.
Does anybody have any real thoughts, notions, or estimates about what MJ is down or up for his lifetime? Like how big a bettor was he? I guess there's two kinds of bettors. There's bettors who will bet on whether you can throw a sandwich wrapper into a trash can that's 8 feet away from your desk. There are those, and then there's the other ones who don't bet on that, but they bet big pots, big hands, big bucks. Do you know, Dave?
Oh, I have no idea, but just hearing the stories about him, and it sounded like he was an action guy. I always wanted some action, so my guess would be, and the guy's loaded too. If he loses $10,000, that's like me losing $1. So it's all relative, right? But I would guess, and again, this is total guess. My over under lifetime would be, I don't know. 18 million. That would be my over-under, but I have no idea. But, guys like that big money and love that action, man. They love to throw it around. So, and again, that would be like me losing a couple $100, so no big deal.
Think he'd be down 18. I realized kind of one thing that kind of screwed up like blackjack for me is I used to go to Vegas when I was poor in the back of a pickup truck and have $50 to gamble, for the weekend and play the $1 blackjack table and stuff like that. And, if you won up $80, it was a big deal. And if you'd lost $80, it was a big deal. And the problem is when you make good money, and not only making good money, but kind of free money, like getting $1 every time a unit of your shoe is sold and you're not involved with the selling of that, it ends up getting kind of free. It ends up being like free money. And then so when you gamble, look, let's put it to you this way. What if I said, look, if I'm right, you have to walk in a circle, in a 5-foot circle once. Like you'd go, yeah, so what? I'll take that action. I'll do whatever you want. I'll argue with you about anything. But if I said you have to give me $1,000, or I get to bang your wife, or I get to drive your car for a month or something, then those are stakes. So then it makes the venture more important. So for me, what ended up happening is I ended up making money, and then it became sort of uncomfortable because you could either play for $5 a hand, which is sort of who cares, or you could put up real money and risk losing real money, which is nothing to Michael Jordan, but it's still losing a medium-sized house in the San Fernando Valley on one couple of hands of poker. No matter how rich you are, you still could have got that house for some poor person. Sorry, Dave. That was a tangent. You want to talk the golf tournament, the charity golf tournament?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we had one this past weekend, and I guess the ending was a little different than a regular skins matchup, so that kind of threw us for a loop. But we got that one next weekend too. Peyton Manning, Tiger Woods, Tom Brady. They'll be going at it. So we have a bunch of odds for that. Action's already coming in. All these new events going on the board that they're all getting great action. It's good to see these real sports returning, like UFC. We've been setting records with these UFC events. Our NASCAR action yesterday was through the roof. We did more action on the NASCAR this past Sunday than we did on the Daytona 500, which is crazy. So Bundesliga soccer, people are betting that. Sports sims, we have a Madden. People are betting the heck out of these Madden sports sims. So we're setting these lines and running these simulated games on Madden, and people are betting the heck out of that. So people are hungry for action.
Who's favorite? Yeah. Tom Brady, Phil Mickelson, Peyton Manning, Tiger Woods. Who's the favorite there?
Let's see who we got here. It looks like Peyton Manning, who will have the longest drive. Let's see here. Sorry about that.
I'll buy you a second. I'll talk for a second. Yeah. I'll let you look that up. But that's interesting. And I'm also curious about NASCAR. They did it with nobody in the stands. But NASCAR, is so loud. I mean, it's not like, LeBron James said he wouldn't play because the crowd wasn't there. It's a big deal. When you watch The Last Dance, it's like, are they playing in Indiana? Are they playing in Chicago? Like, it makes a big difference. NASCAR, you're in the car. You got a fire suit on, a helmet. You literally have earplugs in with a radio. Like, you can't hear anything anyway. They're not motivated by the crowd. I'll put it to you that way. And when you watch it, NASCAR, the drivers themselves don't need the crowd. The viewers don't really need the crowd either. You can watch a good race on TV and you can drive a good race. So of all the endeavors in sports, and of course you're socially distancing because you're in separate cars, that seems something like something that could work. Dave?
Yeah.
Tom Brady.
Woods and Manning. Woods and Manning team is 195 favorite. Take back on Mickelson and Brady is plus 165.
Is Phil considered better than Tiger, or Tiger better than Phil?
Tiger's better than Phil, without a doubt.
At this point?
At this point. And then what about and so Brady, is he better than Peyton, or do you know?
I do not know. I think Manning is slightly better. I'm not 100% sure though, but those odds are much more dependent on Woods versus lefties. So Woods is definitely the better golfer now. And of course, a skins matchup like this, who knows? But definitely Woods is the higher ranked golfer than compared to Mickelson. So those odds are much more dependent on those two.
I'd be curious. That'd be kind of fun. I guess you could probably watch it online or something. I mean, it'd be kind of a fun. Those the Pro-Am out here at Pebble Beach, which I don't know if they canceled that this year, but that's a big deal for all those Ray Romano type guys and guys who really, Kevin James, they really take it seriously. And I can tell you, as a guy who's done kind of a few pro-am versions of car races, it's exciting because going out and playing golf or going out and doing a track day with your buddies is one thing, but you don't have a huge gallery. Like you're playing like you're living your dream, like you're playing in a professional tournament if you're a comedian or quarterback. So it's kind of those guys, their competitive spirit is such that it is. I guarantee a guy like Tom Brady probably has. If we hooked electrodes up to his head when he was teeing off at the first hole, he'd have the same thing going on as the beginning of the Super Bowl in his brain. And probably Michael Jordan would be the same way, right?
Absolutely. And that's what made those guys so great, right? It's all competitive. They just got it between the ears. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be a big event this weekend. So like I said, all those other new events are getting so much action. It's good to have some regular sports returning instead of betting on marbles, which was driving me nuts.
Well, they did a lot of UFC fights in a row. They did like 3 or 4 fights in a row, events. NASCAR had like 7, 8 events in a short period of time. When's their next one?
Well, they have like 4 scheduled. Saying they have 4 scheduled like right in a row. I think the next one is this week during the week. They had their first on Sunday. They had all those iRacing events, so they've been in the news, and these drivers have been. We had all the odds on those iRacing events, which is fun. Like actually, I watched more of that than I ever watched NASCAR, to tell you the truth. But NASCAR is going to be knocking out these events. UFC is knocking out these events, so it's a lot of fun. The UFC had those 3 events within 8 days, and the action was awesome. So no complaints there.
It's kind of funny, but I always say that we are ruled by fear. And if you so we make all legislation, policy, it's all sort of fear-based now. And if you take a look at the sports, and I already know what the answer is when I talk to my racing buddies, like when you talk about doing the historic race at Monterey in the middle of August, I know all those dudes want to race because they're not fear-based dudes, because they wouldn't be racing cars if they were fear-based, So it's funny that the UFC and NASCAR, like the 2 sort of hairiest sports, like kind of the sports that could really get you killed, they're the first back. Now, they're doing it safely, but what I'm saying, it's kind of interesting psychologically that the least fearful people in their sport are back first. Right. All right. Hey, Dave, thanks for checking in. You can go to betonline.ag and use the promo code podcast1 and get in on some of this new action. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Take care. By the way, I think that golf tourney is going to be on TNT, you were saying?
Yeah, all the Turner channels, TNT, TBS, True TV.
That'll be kind of fun. All right. Bet Online. NASCAR's back. Well, we just figured that one out. Man, they're doing tons of stuff going on. Simulated NFL, NBA, UFC is back as well. Or even participate in a $10,000 Madden Bracket Challenge, March Madness-style NFL simulation tournament, and it's free to enter as well. Next Sunday, BetOnline has ex-Chicago Bulls, Horace Grant, Bill Cartwright, Craig Hodges discussing the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. You can visit our exclusive partner, BetOnline. Take advantage of the best bonuses in the business. Sign up for your free account, betonline.ag. Don't forget, promo code podcast1. Sign up, get your bonus right online. Bet online. All right, let's see. We got a call up there. Let me hop on that before Patton joins us. Hey, let's see. Rick, Florida, 60?
Yes.
What's going on?
Hey, Adam. Gina,
Hi, Rick.
Paul, Bryan.
Hi, guy.
I'm just curious. Did you see how Gavin Newsom is now allowing pro sports in
Scooping my
California?
first story.
Oh, no, I didn't see that. Tell us
Sorry.
what you learned.
That's all right.
Gina.
Go ahead.
No, good. What's the story? What's the plan?
Well, I guess I'm not sure if he's feeling the pressure from Texas, Arizona, Florida, but he seems to be caving pretty easily when a lot of publicity comes in. I mean, he had the whole Tesla Musk dust up where he caved.
Yeah, I don't know if that was him or the local municipality, but the thing is you know, we've been doing this thing for a long time. We go Sweden, we get to look at Sweden, we get Sweden, we have Sweden, take a look at Sweden, but we also get to take a look at Texas and Georgia and Colorado and other places, and Florida that have been open.
I got to throw that in because it's not often that I can sit there and say that Florida is the land of reasonable thinking.
It's so I know Florida is now. It used to be Germany or Florida, and now Germany. Now it's just Germany. So,
what's the world coming to?
Things have worked out. People tweet me stuff. They go like, "Oh, more positive tests." Well, they're doing more testing. I just need to see if there's more. Are the hospitals overcrowded or not? That's kind of what we need to know. And evidently no is what we're learning.
Yeah, well, I mean, living with a wife who has a PhD in molecular genetics, she just rants. I mean, she sounds like you going on a rant. You know, as far as the number of positive tests, that doesn't tell you anything. What you should be looking at is the rate of positive tests. If you test more, obviously you're going to get more positives.
Right.
But if you're still looking at 1% to 2%, no matter how many, then it's holding steady.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of stupid. I think it's probably dumb to set dates. I don't think anybody in charge should have said, we're going to June 6th or going to July. That's just what the idea is we're going to monitor everything. We're going to return as quickly as we can, as safely as we can. It's not going to be 100% safe for everyone, but we're going to look out for the people who are vulnerable. And the rest of us, we're going to get back to it. And that would include sporting events as well. So I didn't hear anything, but Gina knows because she's got the news.
Yep.
And what do you do, Rick, with your scientist wife over there?
Well, I'm retired Navy and retired program manager for aircraft simulators. So I was kind of laughing.
Wow.
I was just listening to one of your, I think it was one of your previous podcasts and one of your previous love lines with the infamous Geo, and you had a tank simulator technician, and you went on to a pretty funny story about getting one of his buddies drunk and putting him in a simulator and then pretend he was going through an urban area blowing up stuff, and the guy would never know the difference. And that's true because military simulators are unbelievably realistic now.
There was a story out of San Diego a million years ago where somebody stole a tank.
That's right.
Took it down the freeway.
Well, there was a story at El Toro back when that was open, but a Lance Corporal had stolen A4 to prove he could, and he learned all of his A4 skills
in the
simulator.
The Warthog?
No, A4 Skyhawk.
Oh.
What the Blue Angels used to fly.
Oh, A10.
Oh,
yeah. There's the A4 and there's the F4 Phantom, but the A4 is kind of a cool piece. Yeah, like 60s Vietnam era jet. Sorry, go ahead.
They called it the Scooter. It was a little dinky jet. They say you used to strap it on as opposed to strap into it.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty impressive little jet. But anyways, this Lance Corporal who had experience as a glider pilot, he got decompression sickness for a high altitude glider flight, so he was medically down, went into the Marines, became a mechanic, went to the simulator, got real savvy with the A4, and then one night he just goes out and steals one. The field was closed and took it out for a couple of laps around the field and then landed it. So yeah, it was quite the story.
Yeah, you know how I know what an A4 is? Show me a picture of an A4, Max Bennett. The reason I know what an A4 is a million years ago when I was really into flying model airplanes and remote control airplanes. It's a really fun hobby. And I would crash them all the time, but it was a fun hobby. At some point, long before I was any good or good enough to fly a jet, I said, I want a jet because the jets are the coolest things on the goddamn planet. And the reason the model jets are the coolest thing, yeah, that's an A4. The reason the model jets are the coolest thing on the planet is because they have a miniature jet engine in the middle of them, and it's not a simulated jet engine. It is a jet engine. Max Zapata will find, they have a big Top Gun tournament in your Florida, somewhere in Florida, and they have these jets. And they're model jets, you know, their wingspans are 44 inches or 5 foot across, and they have all the stuff just like modern military jets. And when they spool up, it's full jet. They go 300 miles an hour. They're the coolest thing in the world. There's a guy who's down at the field. The field was in Van Nuys, by the Van Nuys Airport. And I think his name was Rick. And he was a good dude. He was a grizzled veteran. And I said to him, I want you to build me a jet, and we're going to fly this jet. And he said, will do. And it's about $10,000, this jet, right? The engine itself was like $4,000. I got to keep in mind, this is 15, 20 years ago, the technology. The jet engine itself is like $4,000. This guy meticulously built this jet kit, like having stainless steel pieces fabricated and everything. It was magnificent. As a matter of fact, Max Pat, there's actually a tape of it probably on our computer somewhere. It just says jet crash or whatever. After 2 or 3
spoiler alert.
Yeah, after 2 or 3 years of this, after 2 or 3 years, it was finally ready to go. Now, here's the thing that was interesting. We went with the A4, and the first thing out of this guy's mouth when we're getting the kit is he said, I saw one of these A4s fly out here from one of these kits. And the first thing that happened is the hatch on the back, the hatch, you pull the hatch off so you can get to the engine and everything. So the first thing that happens, that thing blew off. So he said, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to reinforce the shit out of that thing so it doesn't blow off. And I said, good call. And he made this whole custom bracket and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, 3 years later, we take it out for its maiden voyage. He's flying it around. These things, they don't glide very well. They're jets. They're heavy and they're jets, and they're really hard to fly. And he's flying it around. Remember, it's like $10,000 flying in a circle, you know. And he goes, okay. And then at some point, the hatch blows off, but because he made this super reinforced bracket, it never flew off. It just hung. So now there's this big sail on the back of the plane that was the hatch that he totally reinforced and made this new bracket, but won't come off. And now he's flying it. He's going, it won't come off. There's this huge sail and it's starting to get squirrely. Into the ground, ball of fire. That was it.
Yeah, excessive drag is not conducive to flight.
No. Max, do you have one? You don't need my jet. Just find a jet. We'll figure mine out.
A4s, that's why the Blue Angels like them, because of the size of the wing. You could snap a 720-degree roll in a second.
This is
to give you an idea, the wing of an A4 was the same size as the rear stabulator in an F-14. Very small wing surface.
Very small. All right. Thank you, Rick. Go ahead and just play it. We'll just play a quick clip of it. You can hear it.
How big would you say? Like, how long is it?
4 feet, 3.5, 35 inches long, 42 inches wide. They get up, they retract their landing gear, and then they come by at 300 miles an hour. And a dude with cool sunglasses flies it.
It's loud.
It sounds like it's a jet. It sounds like a jet. And when it comes by, it just comes by. It'll make a pass there. Oh, you got to wear a helmet.
Oh, yeah. This thing will decapitate you.
All right. You can stop it. I don't know why the guy didn't put his gear in, so something's going on that, because he's not taking, like, you can find, Chris, like a hot pass when one of those guys just coming by at 300 miles an hour. It is crazy, but mine blew up and caught on fire.
Oh.
Yeah. was awesome.
It must really mess with your vision in a way, because you're like, that's a jet and that's flying either really low or really high just because of the size.
Oh,
like if you see a mini, a remote control jet go by that looks like a real jet, but it's tiny.
I think they use some of them, or they used to, like in Top Gun and movies like that. I mean, they can make it look exactly right and whiz by.
That would make sense.
Give me one pass before we bring on Patton, by the way. Here's one just coming by.
Als zweites Unterstartsvorbereitung.
And then go straight up. Go straight up. All right. You got it. Now, it's the coolest thing in the world, but imagine how hard it would be to fly it, to control it. It doesn't glide at all. Just boom. And when they crash just like jets. Just
miraculously.
Boom. Ball of flame. All right. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with our dear friend Patton Oswalt right after this.
The Adam Carolla Show salutes the winners of the COVID-19 pandemic. Juul. No, not the singer from the 90s with the snaggletooth. The vape manufacturer. That Juul. You were in the national spotlight for marketing to kids. And even President Trump was weighing in on bans of specific flavors. So while you still may have to cough up millions for the more than a dozen lawsuits from states, class actions, and school districts, the bad press went up in a puff of smoke when another lung infection hit the scene. Coronavirus may have made a loser out of the rest of us, but for you, Juul, it made you a winner of COVID-19.
Patton Oswalt is with us. His stand-up special, I Love Everything, is available now on Netflix, and it is very funny. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you, fellow Netflix creator.
That's right.
Fellow Netflix content creator.
Got a few docs there, which Pat was very gracious to watch and send out some happy tweets. So I really appreciate that.
Just if you want to see portraits of absolute, almost psychotic obsession, you would agree with me. The obsession about these engines and just getting like an extra, just all that work to get like 1 extra mile an hour out of this machinery. The obsession with that is incredible.
It really is weird. If you study the cars in real life, you'll notice, I've always bring this one up, but it's funny. One of the guys who you're talking about is Pete Brock, and he came up with Shelby, and he did the Daytona and all that. But I have one of his old race cars, and there's a switch on the dashboard that says alternator on it. And I say, what's the alternator switch for? And they go, well, that shuts off the alternator. And I said, well, what do you mean shuts it off? Because it's run by a belt. You know, if you pop your car hood, you'll see the pump for your air conditioning, and the alternators run. You know, it's run like a generator. It's an alternator generator run. I said, how do you disconnect the belt? How do you mean? How's it going to help? And they said, no, it just shuts it off so the electromagnetic field shuts off, so it doesn't pull quite as hard when it's turning. And I'm like, what does that get you? And they're like, I don't know, 1/4 horsepower or something. And they're like, but you do it at the end of the race when you don't need to create any more power from the alternator. And I'm like, this is insane. But that's how those guys work. Because
they literally did that to go like an extra half second. That whole thing was just we figured out the very last turn, you switch the alternator off, you can, oh my God.
That's all they do. It's a crazy world. Patton, let's talk about you. I Love Everything. It's a very funny stand-up special. I realized that I saw some of it in person at the Hollywood Improv several months earlier. When you went up before me, you were working on it. Mm-hmm. The stuff was funny the first time. It was funny the second time. The Denny's bit at the end is a killer bit. The cereal bit is a killer bit. It's so it's so well crafted. I think that's your signature, that crafting. Does that feel right?
It's almost like, because you go up every single night with these bits and these concepts, and you think you have it worked out, but you do them over and over again just to figure out if I drop one word, it makes the laugh that much bigger. Or if I do this part, leave out the middle part, which actually I don't need, and just leapfrog right to the end. There is a tinkering machinist aspect to putting together an hour-long stand-up set. In fact, the Denny's bit up until the last minute used to be in the middle of that hour. And one of my opening acts said, that should be your closer. Shouldn't? And I'm like, it was one of those, like, we were driving to a gig and I'm like, that's exactly what, and it was just that, oh, there's the answer right there.
It's funny. We started off by talking about these meticulous engineers trying to shave tens, but it's the same. It's a different person, but it's the same endeavor.
When I was watching those documentaries, especially the Shelby one, and they're going over the tinkering and run the car on the track and tinker again, that's what a comedian does. Run it out on the track, see how it feels, come back, tinker a little bit more, do it again until it's just as fast and lean. Zero drag factor. Boom. That's what you want.
Well, this is some of your best work. I don't know, maybe the best. I don't know. Thanks, I don't want to besmirch the other work. I saw a funny bit. Obviously, many people see it with you on TMZ doing stand-up from your lawn a few weeks back.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Thank you. Well, it was funny then when we were told, just stay in for 2 weeks, we'll be fine. And now you look back on it and go, well, this is the beginning of maybe the end of stand. Like it has a weird quality when you look back on it now.
Yeah. So where are you? So there's some comedians. So California is not opened up. Some states have opened up. I'm going to Texas this weekend and doing a charity show, a couple of shows at the Improv, at the Houston Improv. I think Brian Callen is showing up the next week. Some places are opening. Where are you at?
The Improv is open in Texas?
Well, it's open, but it's sort of like half capacity, and they're doing it in their social distancing kind of way. And then you get into this thing where the deal of, and I think Nashville is opening, or somewhere in Tennessee. I can't think of where. The point is the stand-up world is slowly getting back on track, but the rub is you have to get on an airplane, and these places that formerly held 400. So Patton could go to the Houston Improv and sell out 5 shows, and there'd be 450 people at each show, and then he could walk away with X amount of money. But now he's going to have to walk away with half that money.
Literally half. And even then, you're worried about, again, the thing that freaks me out about the partial reopenings and the summer closed and summer open is they also openly just say, we don't exactly know how the severity of this disease, how it progresses. We don't know how to stop it. So, and I was reading about the Spanish flu. They also did half measures, like this stuff can open, this stuff stays closed. We'll just feel it out as we go along. And then that second spike came because it was almost like it made the virus even stronger. So I'm just worried that if I go out and do a show, and then if this second spike happens in the fall, I'm going to be held up as one of the examples of this comedian went out and brought the plague to every, I'm just afraid I'm going to get like burned at the stake for this once the villagers start dropping like flies. So for now, I'm isolating as best I can, but I'm also very sensitive to, especially like mid-level comedians or comedians that are about to break, that they need that weekly time out in the clubs. And so I don't know what the goddamn solution is. That's what sucks.
What are you doing creatively? I mean, you write, you do a lot of writing.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of writing. I'm writing a lot of comic scripts now for different comic books, different companies. They approached me and said, hey, would you like to maybe do a script for this? And I'm like, yeah. So I've been starting to get into that. Now, there's basically no money in that, but it does keep me occupied. There'll be some stuff coming out in the fall that I'm working on. I wish that would. But then again, I don't know if comic books are going to come out. Apparently tomorrow they're going to ship them again for the first time in 2 months, but all the protocols are the same of like curbside pickup. You can't go in the store, gloves and masks. So no one knows anything right now. I think that's what feels the weirdest.
Yeah. Not unknown is tough. I've always, yeah.
Are you worried about getting on a plane?
No, But I never worry about anything. I've never had that. I just don't have that gene. I have no self-esteem. It's not low, it's no. Like I never think about my personal safety. I've just never had it. Never entered my mind. But I was talking to Dr. Drew about this subject years ago, not the subject we're on, but just in general. And he always said, if you tell somebody, I'm going to hold you underwater for 30 seconds, that's fine. You can do it. That person can do it. If you say, I'm going to hold you underwater until I decide to let you up, that person freaks out. And this is kind of got elements of that. If we have timelines, we know things, there's a thing and a thing, we know we're going to have a vaccine by this date or whatever it is. Everyone has a completely different approach. But if it's just a lot of question marks, it freaks a lot of people out.
And I think that's what we're watching now. I mean, there was this I read this, it was a Radiolab thing about people that when they have something wrong with them and they don't know what it is, and then if they go into a doctor and the doctor names it, even if it's something horrible, but the putting a name to it means the doctor has studied it, knows what it is, even if it's going to be horrible, but there's a name on it. Now it's named and we know what the parameters of it are. And right now there's no real name on this,
right?
Or it's like, it's all situational where like a frontline soldier doesn't worry about being gut shot the way that a storekeeper in Ohio worries about being stabbed in the arm because he'll lose weeks of work, whereas the soldier gets medevaced out, goes to a nice hospital, maybe gets a medal. Like it's all the situation. So right now, it's all just this amorphous awfulness, and there's nothing to push against and nothing to plan for. And I think that's what's freaking everyone out.
I was also noticing, I saw, last week when I was watching, what's coming up on HBO.
Oh,
your wife's Michelle McNamara. It's like a 6-part series coming up.
Documentary series, 6-part series about her book that I helped get finished posthumously. She passed away in April of 2016, and so we got the book done. And then the guy got caught. She was writing about a cold case, the Golden State Killer.
Right.
That name she came up with, by the way, because and this is going to sound really creepy, but he was never given a cool name, and it made it hard for the case to get traction. I know that sounds really weird, but
it sounds completely consistent with what you just said about the doctor giving a name to a virus.
Yeah, exactly. But they gave him names, but they were all terrible. One of them was the East Area Rapist, or EAR. They would call it. People were like, wait, what? And then then he went down south into like Goleta and Irvine, and then he got called the Original Night Stalker. People are like, so you mean like the Richard Ramirez guy, or who? Wait a minute, who would like? He didn't just have the one, bam, Hillside Strangler, Night Stalker, Zodiac, and a lot of these homicide cops, like, there is a branding aspect to solving these cold cases. If you give them a haunting, cool name, it keeps public interest up, which is a weird thing to say, but it's true.
Sad.
So it's really sad.
It's a sad reflection of our society.
I know, it's so sad.
Well, and to your point, when you did My Favorite Murder with Karen and Georgia, didn't you do the Doodler?
Yes, there was a guy. Oh my God, there was a murderer in San Francisco in the 70s called the Doodler. He would pick up gay men and he would doodle them. He would make a drawing of them and then kill them. And they called him the Doodler.
The Doodler.
He actually killed a lot of people, but because he was called the Doodler, it just was never taken as this scary kind of thing. And there's all these other creepy aspects of the case. But again, don't call this mad dog killer the Doodler, because people just kind of go, all right.
Should have been the Sketcher.
Sounds cute.
Yeah.
The Sketcher would have stuck.
We did. Oh, is that the Doodler? Yeah.
There's the Doodler. And apparently one of his victims got away and was going to testify. They arrested a guy and they took him to trial, but the one victim that escaped and was going to testify then refused to testify. And the rumor was, this was in the early 70s, because the victim that escaped was a huge closeted Hollywood star at the time and didn't want to ruin his career. And would not come forward.
How many, do you know how many folks did Doodler killed?
I think 4 or 5, but it was like all in the Castro district in San Francisco, where it was really horrible. And then they apparently had him dead to rights, and the guy wouldn't testify.
The Golden State Killer. What was his body count? Did they know?
10 known murders, 50 rapes over a 30-year period, totally uncaught until 2 years ago when this guy Joseph D'Angelo got caught up in outside Sacramento. They found him finally. So my wife had written about this case, and she passed away. So luckily, this amazing documentary filmmaker, a great documentarian, you would love her stuff. Her name is Liz Garbus. She did that one on Netflix about Nina Simone, and she did that one on Showtime about the New York Times, which is one of those great documentaries where the documentarian is making the film, and then shit starts happening that wasn't going to be part of the movie, where they're like, well, I guess we got to roll with this. And then same with mine, where she started doing the documentary. It was going to be about Michelle's life and the case and how he's not caught. And then as they started filming it, then he got caught. So on camera, she got me and the other investigators like literally getting the pings like, oh shit, like we're seeing it happen in real time. And she happened to be filming this.
Adam, she directed the Vanderbilt documentary you like so much.
Yes. She's such an amazing.
Oh, Gloria. I said Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the
no, not university.
It's like, I don't like college.
What?
Gloria Vanderbilt. Yeah, the Anderson
Cooper.
Right.
Yes,
That was a great
and
doc.
The Nina Simone one got nominated for Best Documentary, I'm pretty sure.
Got nominated for an Oscar, yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, that's the person
it's a great...
you went to honcho your documentary, someone with that skill level.
Oh, yeah. And especially that level of storytelling that has to tell all of these parallel stories, and especially one where you know what the outcome's going to be, but they still keep your interest.
So
like,
this
there's that.
This is a 6-parter. It's coming up on HBO and
Sunday, June 29th through August 2nd on HBO.
Wow. Now that we've ground to a halt with the Michael Jordan miniseries, I'm ready to move on to some true crime. And how much of this are you involved? How much are you on camera? How much are you involved with this?
I'm on camera for a couple of the episodes, but I made it very clear to Liz, the less I'm on camera and the more it's about her life and what made her a writer, and especially the more it's about the victims and the survivors and the investigators, because Michelle would have wanted it to be about the people that actually put the case together and pursue this and, deal with the stress of, being a homicide investigator, especially in a cold case, can really destroy a person, because if you follow the wrong theory for a few months, you've given that killer that much of a head start, and you feel like, oh my God, I just, wait, like a lot of these men and women, it really destroys them psychologically to have to do that.
I remember running into you and Michelle with Mike August at McCarran Airport, I think some years ago, where you guys were just leaving Vegas and just had gone to one of these conventions, right?
The CHIA, the California Homicide Investigators Association, they had me like a set for them, which they love, because cops and homicide detectives love the darkest shit. They want you to do the darkest material, and then we would just hang out and drink with them, and then she would talk to different homicide detectives when they get all nice and boozy and spill the beans about other cases. And it was great. It was really, really fun.
And
at one point, I reached in my pocket to check my notes. We rigged this beforehand, and I put a Ziploc bag full of baking powder in it. And I took it out, like the Ziploc bag fell out. I'm like, oh, I don't know where that came from. I never saw that. Like, they fucking loved it. So it was great.
Yeah, I remember you said I'll perform for free and we'll get to go to these events. And my wife gets to get all this inside information.
But I also got to talk to these police, and they're fascinating. The lives, like it's such a different mindset that wants to pursue that as a career and as a vocation. I loved it.
Is there, was Michelle a journalist and then got into this, or was this always her discipline?
No, she was a screenwriter, and she sold a movie to Paramount. She sold a TV show, I believe, to NBC that she was developing, and they were both tangentially about crime. And then she was like, I had so much more fun researching the crime aspect of how crime investigations actually work that I'd rather just research crimes. And at the time I was like, well, I'm working. Let's build you a website. You can start blogging about it and figure out, like, take the time to really do the research you want to do. And then that led to the LA Magazine article, and that led to the book. So I really wanted to, like, I love that idea of somebody discovering this discipline and this pursuit that they didn't know that they had in the middle of pursuing something else.
You're right.
So I was like, let's go do that. Awesome.
How did you meet your new bride?
We met. We both got invited. We were on this Facebook thread of, like, we had friends in common, but I'd never spoken to her or met her. This was in February of 2017. We both got invited to the same. We have a friend in common who does these huge dinner parties when she likes to bring different people together and everyone talks and eats food. And I couldn't go that night. Like, at the last minute, I was either traveling or I'm like, I'm too jet lagged and I'm going to go to sleep. So then she just Facebooked me the next day and said, oh, you missed the best lasagna last night. And I said, story of my life. And then it just became, from February until May of that year, for 3 months, we just Facebook, never talked on the phone, never video chatted. We just wrote back and forth. Because one of the things I missed so much about being married is you have someone to, like, talk to in the dark at night at the end of the day and go over the day and just go over life and everything. And Meredith's mind is so just agile and multifaceted and brilliant that to like meet another mind that was equal to Michelle's, which I was resigned to, like, I'm not going to meet anyone like Michelle again. I had 10 years with her, try to enjoy that happiness. Even though I was still in grief, I'm like, I'm just going to merely exist. I'm fine. And then I ran into Meredith. It didn't even run into her, just met her online through different friends. And she always jokes, like, her, because she was 47. She had never gotten married, because she's like, I don't know if it's for me. And her mom is like, well, you're not going to meet the person you're going to marry at home in your apartment in your pajamas. And that's exactly how she met. And we just wrote for 3 months. And in 2 days, May 20th will be the 3rd anniversary of when we first actually laid eyes on each other. We talked for 3 months, and then May 20th, we met at a restaurant and just talked, and that was it. Like, that was just it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did, first thing out of her mouth is, you're not Dane Cook.
Yeah, look, I may have used a different profile picture, but look, there's things you have to do. You know what I mean? This face is not going to get the meeting. Dane, I mean, God, that dude's gorgeous. So yeah, use that one.
It was sweet, and then this story was also mentioned in the stand-up special as well. Hey, Max Bass, something jumped into my brain that you can go look for, which is we did a man show bit once about professional wrestling, about me and Jimmy being professional wrestlers. And we had a whole bunch of bad names for our wrestlers. As you were talking about the Doodler, just sort of bad. We had a bunch of really bad pro wrestling names, and
weren't you the calligrapher or something?
I was the calligrapher, which was one.
And you got to see this costume.
I can't remember the rest of it. I just remember Jimmy really hurt his back when some big fat guy threw him on his back at the end of the day.
A man show thing. Patton, were you? I should have looked this up. Were you one of the in the gallery or the whatever of
the
annoying
hall
guys?
Of annoying drunks?
That's right. Yes, I remember going back and watching, and, like, after I knew who you were at that point, I guess Patton Oswalt.
And I remember they were like, "Is there any kind of booze you'd like to drink?" And I was like, "I'm gonna go method on this," and I went, "I want a Cake Bread Cellars Merlot," and I drank the entire bottle before doing the bit.
You're the emotional. You're the emotional.
I was the crying emotional.
That's
one.
right. That's right.
Yeah. And weeping about people like that I've been broken up or something.
Well, we can find that it's Museum of the Annoying Guy,
or it's the Museum of Different Drunks. It was celebrating all the different kinds of drunks you encounter, and I remember that was really, really fun.
Well,
and
Museum of Annoying Drunks.
The museum, yeah. So we had Museum of the Annoying Guy, and we also had Museum of the Annoying Drunks.
Yes.
And you're in that one. So we'll see if we can find that. And
I remember you did that tribute to Benny Hill, which everyone's like, Benny Hill's just silly comedy. But if you watch the bit, you realize that the planning and mapping out of all of the physical gags actually seemed pretty complex. You're that kind of waiter, and you're doing it's all in fast motion with the stuff. And I'm like, oh, that actually must have taken all day to map out exactly how it would be going in fast motion and everything.
I did a Benny Hill send up, and when it was kind of weird because Jimmy and Daniel were, and myself to some degree are like pretty meticulous. So even though we were doing the man show, we wanted things to be done right, and the Benny Hill bit that we did, we went and got the lens that they actually shot all that Benny Hill stuff on and shot it that way. We didn't want to shoot it on a video camera from the 90s. So the reason it looks like it looks is because we physically got the camera and the lens and shot it the way he shot it, or it would have been shot in the period.
But was it also weird? Because I look at those old Benny Hill bits, and it's funny watching them all walking in fast motion, but you realize, well, filming it, they were out there all day walking at normal speed and doing that must have been just drudgery after a while to get all those bits, but they got to do it at this slow, normal speed, and then it's not funny till later. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember that was one of those bits where we really didn't know how it was going to turn out until the end. But I remember it was a super long day of shooting at a park and then shooting in a closed down restaurant and running around. Yeah, and we got the wacky sax and I don't know. Well, now you got to find whatever. What do you got next, Betta?
Right now, we'll put up Museum of Annoying Drunks.
All right.
There we go.
There we go.
Look how hammered I am.
As this guy may be, I would still take 10 of him over one of our next exhibit. Yes, it's the guy who gets sad when he drinks. Latin name, Weepum Buzzkillis.
You're trying to have a good time. He's reliving his divorce.
What's wrong, bud?
She left me for a Mexican, man.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
Well, Patton, she is Mexican, so it's really not.
I know, man, but I just love her, man.
I know.
I love that Mexican.
It's gonna be all right.
I'll never get another Mexican.
Hey, what's the matter, buddy?
Hugger guy.
Hugger guy.
He came from the previous booth.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Drunken. What is the final one? Drunken hug guy came to his booth to give him the
drunken hug guy came to weepy and slightly racist guy, because that's the other thing that happens when you get drunk sometimes.
Well, as long as she was Mexican as well, I think it's
that
fine.
is true. Yes, exactly.
Carpe Diem is the last one.
The hugger. The hugger was ribcage destructus.
That's my buddy Ray, who was being the other good days.
Of course,
Doug DeLuca was the hugger, and Ray's the peer, and all right.
God, that's funny.
Right. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. We'll find the wrestling one. You only need the first 30 seconds.
Do you remember the there's a documentary called Beyond the Mat about professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the scene where that guy, I guess he's some football player that kind of turfed out in the NFL, and he's coming in to pitch a character. They're pitching a character to him because the guy can puke on command. And so they pitch a character called Puke, where he goes out, they come in and people pitch different characters, and then they put them out on the road and see which one clicks and which one doesn't. It's just the same showbiz thing.
The puker's great, but in a venue where you serve nachos, it probably is a deal breaker. I would argue. Now,
well, you got to close the show with the puker.
Close with the puker.
Can't open with the puker.
All right, let me hit True Nigel, and we'll do the news. Patton will hang out with us.
Yeah.
True Nigel, you heard about this trend, NAD boosters. There's only one backed by both clinical research and regulatory approvals as well. True Nigel. That is True Niagen. From age 40 to 60, humans experience a near 50% decline in NAD. I was talking to Shannon Sharp about this yesterday, who's in phenomenal shape, and he takes True Niagen. I take True Niagen as well, and it's a game changer. And stress, immune system, lack of exercise, overeating can also deplete your NAD, and the cells have to expend more energy to function, and you just need to replenish. Support cellular defense and repair with True Niagen. That is TruNiagen.com. I take it every morning. Use the promo code Adam. Get 20% off any 3+ month supply now until May 31st. You will thank me. All right, let's take a quick break. Come back with Patton Oswalt and do the news right after this.
Yeah.
Give me the news with Grad. News with Gina Grad. Breaking viral, all those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad. Trouble in the Middle East. Celebrity drunk meltdowns. Need news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
As the caller earlier alluded to, this just came just across the wire as the show started. This from ABC 7. Governor Gavin Newsom out here in California laid out early guidance for much of the state to move further into reopening in the next coming weeks. This was just as we started today. The criteria announced Monday by Newsom applies to counties that want to reopen faster, and that's going to be like 53 out of 58 counties that can meet this new criteria. What's the new criteria? Well, of course, they're getting rid of the 0 deaths in 2 weeks and 1 case per 10,000 over 14 days. They realized that was fairly unreasonable. No counties will have to meet that threshold. They can have up to 25 cases per 100,000 residents, or no higher than 8% positive rates among people tested for the virus. They also must have no higher than a 5% increase in hospitalization over a 7-day period. The governor added live professional sports may be allowed to resume as early as the first week of June. Hair salons may be able to reopen. Local restrictions may be more strict depending on your county versus what the state wants, but they realized they needed to do some rejiggering.
How do you think the basketball season is going to work? Is there anything left? Can we salvage the basketball season? I mean, obviously
June is when they typically have the finals. You know what I mean? So they're pretty behind at this point.
I got to tell you, there are things that come, unexpected things, like they have the UFC with no crowd, right? But there's an interesting thing that is happening is you can hear those punches landing now. Like it sounds, they have taken their violence and ratcheted it up. If you didn't think that choking guys out and throwing spinning heel kicks to guys' orbital sockets could seem more violent, now in silence, hearing the slap, I mean the smack of somebody just throwing a wheel kick and hitting a guy in the cheek, it made it so much more visceral now than it was when it was, the crowd was cheering and you really couldn't hear the contact. So something weirdly satisfying for those fight fans has come out of the 0 crowd.
Although I wonder, is that going to backfire because it's going to seem so stark and grim after a while? You're just hearing the punishment.
Joyless.
Really like, I don't want to hear this anymore. Like, these guys are really getting hurt. Like, this is brutal. I don't know.
It might also... they always say hometown decisions. They do a fight in Brazil. A guy's a Brazilian fighter. An American guy goes into Brazil. They'll get their hand raised on maybe it's going to reduce the home cooking.
Well, home court advantage based on whatever sport. Obviously, if the crowd's not there. You mentioned Adam being quietly satisfying. The NBA, I could give a shit about. They could, they're $1 million athletes. They're going to be fine. Maybe it's better for them if they don't, some of the older guys did start up again. The one thing I would like to see, it's not going to happen. It would be so satisfying is the NCAA tournament, the March Madness, if they could do that in June or July, because for 95% of those kids, that's the last basketball they're ever going to play. You know what I mean? They got the tournament taken away from them their senior year or whatever it was. Like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. It feels so unsatisfying for these kids.
Yeah. They should have an all-senior tournament, but with what's been going on in nursing homes, I think we're going to have to change the title. No, he's 22. I heard senior.
Senior high risk.
Nope. Don't want to get any closer to that now.
Comorbidities.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep talking about sports, and I'll tell you a few other things that are going to be modified. Major League Baseball is working on new safety rules, and it looks like they're going to ban spitting, chewing sunflower seeds, giving high fives, if and when baseball returns. Also, players and other teams' personnel not participating in the game itself will have to sit in the stands, separated by at least 6 feet.
Really?
So they can't sell out the stadium.
No, not for a good while, I think.
God.
No,
it'll literally just be, administrative staff, and anyone who's not playing doesn't hang out on the field.
The forearm bash is coming back, baby.
Yeah. The Bash Brothers.
Yeah.
We have I think we have the beginning of the Man Show pro wrestling clip.
Oh,
here we
go.
See our characters.
Can't get any better than this. The only thing missing from you two is a persona.
A persona? Yeah.
Some
ideas. Like a persona.
The Rabbi.
You want I should kick your ass?
The alcoholic father.
Boy!
The male flight attendant. The Pope. Flapjack.
I'm part of a complete breakfast.
The drummer from Whitesnake. The calligrapher. And ostrich sack.
Capacity crowd on hand for this tag team.
The calligrapher and ostrich sack are going.
Yeah, and that's where he blew his back out in an ostrich sack costume.
I think he did, yeah. Also, it'd always be funny because we'd have these serious arguments with the executives at Comedy Central. Like, if you're only going to budget $800 for a giant scrotum sack, we're not going to do the bit. We're not going to insult our audience. It's insulting to the viewer. Okay. Where you guys? Can we pretend we're professional for 10 minutes and work on a real ostrich sack here? You have all those conversations all the time, and they'd have an argument with Debbie Liebling about the ostrich sack, and Dan will be like, "Adam, you talk to her about the ostrich sack. She'll listen to you."
That's funny.
All I remember Jimmy's probably still angry at me because we would shoot these bits. The wrestling camp is in Pomona, California or something. We'd go to Pomona to the wrestling camp and we'd be shooting all day. I had to do Loveline every single night. So if Pomona was an hour and 15 minutes away from Loveline, I had a hard out. It was 8:35. I had to be in my car driving. And the last scene we shot was Jimmy being flipped onto his back. And if you actually see it, Max Patty, you can see that Jimmy wasn't acting. He got flipped onto his back and really fucked up. And I was walking past him. I was doing this thing where I was getting dressed real fast and running out the door, and they were flipping Jimmy, and Jimmy was laying on his back, writhing in pain. And I just went, "All right, I'll see you in the office." And I just ran right past him. And I think he's still angry about it. We have
Jimmy.
Ostrich Sack being slapped, slung on his back.
Oh, sorry, we closed it where we had a reopening
okay,
script.
sorry.
We'll
sorry, go ahead, Gina.
All right. Well, let's take a quick departure from things that are opening and closing and being modified, because we do these every once in a while. Bob Dylan, again, raising eyebrows over whether or not one of his songs is an original composition. The song in question is called False Prophet. It's from his new album called Rough and Rowdy Ways, which will be out June 19th. Now, according to NPR, the song, and I'm going to quote NPR, The song sits in the same tempo and key as Billy Emerson's 1954 recording of If Lovin' Is Believing. It faithfully replicates the rhythm guitar phrase, leans on the same lead guitar for the punctuation. There are a couple of crucial tweaks or modifications. Dylan truncates the form to 10 measures instead of 12 and shortens one measure from 4 beats to 2. But I want you to hear this because it's pretty damn close. Here's the first, say, 30 seconds of the Dylan song, the new one.
All right.
And it swings, right? It's a good song. So maybe he had a little inspiration from Billy Emerson. Here's the original.
So deceiving. Tell me, when are you leaving? When you go, won't you set me free? I haven't been my best, but you made such a mess.
There's two arguments. One is it's the same song. The other is it sounds like every song that would play in any strip club in any 60s movie. Like there's only so many instruments, so many chords. I don't know, Pat, do you feel that way when you feel like someone goes, that guy ripped your joke off? I have the same. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it depends. Again, a lot of people, you know this, that outside of comedy, they don't really understand how the creation process is. You can both cover the same subject, but there are specific words and phraseology where you're like, well, that is that guy's thing. It's a case by case thing. I think in this case, this is a lot like when Elvis Costello does live concerts. In the middle of his songs, he'll play the song that he took parts from for his new song. He'll do that. Like if he does Oliver's Army in the middle, he'll play ABBA's Dancing Queen and go, same piano, you know, so.
It is the same piano.
Exact same piano. Yeah.
Right. Right.
But a lot of artists, I mean, I don't know if this is a George Harrison, My Sweet Lord situation where he didn't realize he was ripping off the chord progression.
Or whatever. My Sweet.
Or
yeah,
he's trying.
She's So Fine. Right.
Yeah. But with Bob Dylan, maybe he's either doing a homage or he's like, this is a reference for people that know. I mean, look at all the stuff that Tarantino takes from other films to put in his film and does it. So, I mean, again, each is its own case, and I'm not supporting thievery or borrowing. In this case, I don't know enough about music. I know enough about comedy to know thievery when I see it.
Well, but also Bob Dylan's been accused of this before, right? Like, I don't think this is the first time.
Yeah, well, there were lyrics from a song that didn't he take from a Japanese poem or something like that? Or
I have to look it up, but that might be it.
I mean, absolutely, Sweet Marie has a lyric that's a line of dialogue from the movie The Lineup, this noir film from the 50s. So, you know, it just depends on how are we using it? What are we putting in there?
Right.
I agree. And to that, I say, get her done. That's my thing, Patton. That's my new thing. I don't know if you heard me do it at the Improv the other night. It's pretty
good. That'll catch on, man. I think you could put that on a beer koozie or a hat. I'm telling you, man.
Oh, yeah.
The audience can shout it back at you.
Get her done. That's my thing.
There it is.
Spread the word. Oh, we have Jimmy getting flopped on his back in this giant scrotum.
Oh, God.
outfit.
Here we go.
Yeah. Not acting.
Mustard Sack has a steel chair.
Oh, and now I've seen it all.
Let me get him. You get him. Now everyone's getting into the act.
It's pandemonium.
Well, we learned a lot today.
That was him being slammed.
Yeah, that first one, he was in pain.
Yes, he was in pain.
God. Oh, poor guy.
Well, that's the other thing I would always kind of tell people, too. Like, when you film stuff, if you, like you say, oh, these pampered celebrities or whatever, but if you're in a movie where you're standing in a swamp, you're just standing in a swamp all day. And if you go to wrestling camp, it's a comedy bit, and you get your ass kicked. Like, we got our ass kicked all day at wrestling camp. Yes.
I was talking to, this is I'm going to drop a name, but I did a movie with Tom Hanks, and I was talking to him about went on a Christmas holiday to like Greece or something, and one of his kids was doing like an archaeological dig, like this really cool thing. He goes, I'd love to go do that. And and he just spent all day with a brush, like 12 hours in the sun, just brushing dust off a fragment of urn, like just doing that. And he goes, it was so relaxing and so zen. And I loved it. And then we're going back on the boat, and one of the young archaeologists was like, man, it's a lot harder than like, doing a few hours on a movie. And then and Tom was like, yeah, but I only had to do that once. Like a lot of times on a movie, it's the repetition over and over and over. It can just drive. And again, I'm not complaining. But there is an element of you're all into one physical movement, and they go, okay, we need 4 different angles on this. You know what I mean? Like, that can be a little crazy.
Brian, you were saying?
I might be getting the details wrong, so please give me a break. It's off the top of my head. You mentioned actors. If you're in a swamp, you're in a swamp. Wasn't Patton Oswalt fished out of a swamp in Magnolia?
Well, that fortunately was a body double. What was not a body double in Big Fan, when I'm getting my ass kicked in the strip club, I made the close-up of my face pressed against the floor of the strip club. That is my face pressed against the nastiest carpeting ever while I'm getting my ass kicked, like literally right here in a strip club that they only close for like a 3-hour window to get that stuff in. So there was stuff going on before and stuff going on after, and me just pressed against the floor of a strip club. I feel like I'm patient zero for the coronavirus, quite frankly.
Well,
I picked up something there.
And the other aspect of it is you say to the guy who's smashing your face against the strip club floor or the pro wrestler, you say to him, don't go easy, because I don't want to do this 5 times. Because if he goes soft, you'll do it 5 times. If he really puts his boot into you, you can do it. So it's like this weird thing where you're actually telling them to hurt you or throw a real punch or do it real. Otherwise, we have to do it again if you go too soft.
Yeah, it's like exactly. Yeah, you don't want to have to go through the motion again and again and again, because sometimes that's where the injury can happen. It's just doing something over and over again. That's why I think, wasn't Chevy Chase addicted to pain pills probably because of all of the pratfalls he did on SNL really messed his back up.
They say the same about Jerry Lewis. They said he was jacked up from doing the big flips off the pianos and everything.
Yeah.
Big fan. How about, everyone loved that movie. It was an independent movie that Patton starred in. It's been 10 years. It's been a while.
I think a little more than 10 years. Yeah.
And did you wrote it, right?
No. The guy who wrote it and directed it is the guy who wrote The Wrestler. And
wow.
The script Big Fan is what he was passed around for in Hollywood for like 10 years. It was a really good script that never could get made. It was originally called Paul Offiero, and the script got him so much buzz that's how he got the job writing The Wrestler. And then the money he took for writing The Wrestler, he then put into getting Big Fan made.
Oh, do you think the calligrapher could have gotten a gig in that wrestler?
In The Wrestler?
Robert D. Siegel is the name, so says Chris.
Big Fan is streaming on Amazon Prime if people want to check it out.
It's a great film. I do remember though when our distributor put it out on DVD, on the DVD cover, it's me and Kevin Corrigan cheering at a football game. It looks like we're in the stand cheering, but we never actually go to a football game where we are always watching it in the parking lot. And we're like, why is this the cover of the DVD? We don't go to it. And the guy's like, people like sports. They'll probably rent it. Like, well, I'm like, but there's no sports in the. What are you doing? Why don't you put RoboCop on the cover if that's what you're gonna do? Like, it was the weirdest. Man, people rent it. They think there's sports in it.
Right. I had the same thing when the Hammer came out. They had like the sexy girl silhouette in the back and stuff like that. It's like that has nothing. That's not in the movie at all. It's like, yeah, but people like chicks.
They like it. Put it in there. Who cares?
Right.
Well, it's like Patton famously said at one point, you'll go see a Jennifer Aniston movie or some sort of a rom-com if the trailer's just 3 minutes of a monkey shitting.
Yeah, because like Jennifer Aniston had hit a point where it's like, well, people just go see her movies. They like rom-coms. They like her. So why do they bother wasting money on a trailer? Just film a monkey in a Napoleon outfit with just explosive diarrhea and then just go Jennifer Aniston, and then the date that it's up, people go, yeah, I'll go see that. Like, it doesn't matter.
All right, Gina, what else? You got one more?
All right. Yeah, sure. We'll do one more. You got it. So you may have heard about this tourist in Hawaii that has gotten arrested, and this is becoming, I'm not going to say common, but this is not a one-off. So Brian, you need to be careful if you're going to Hawaii this summer.
I probably have some info on this, but go ahead.
All right, very good. So this tourist from New York was arrested in Hawaii after he posted beach pictures on Instagram when he was supposed to be in quarantine. Why was he supposed to be in quarantine? Well, this 23-year-old was arrested for violating Hawaii's mandatory 14-day quarantine rule. Once you get off the plane, you go to your hotel and you sit there for a fortnight. So he arrived in Oahu and quickly posted pictures on the beach and messing around. And he allegedly used public transportation in an effort to stop the spread of the virus. The state requires you to self-quarantine for 14 days without leaving your hotel room. They're required to fill out a document acknowledging that if they violate that, you could be punishable with a $5,000 fine, up to a year in prison. And, I think they've reported like 638 cases, 17 deaths, but it's an island and they want to, control what's going on. Brian, do you have any insight?
One of Christy's clients at her company is Hawaii Traveler Tourism, or whatever it's called, and so she has daily phone calls with them. The Hawaii. Hawaii is strict. Like they're coming up with the rules about like if you leave they're making hotel keys now that only work once. So if you leave your hotel room, you have to go back to the lobby and recheck in and tell them where you've been and stuff like that. Like they are taking it extraordinarily seriously.
Well, it's an island. It's a very precarious ecosystem. Even without the coronavirus, you go to Hawaii, they check anything organic you're bringing in or out because that can devastate a habitat like that. So, if you want it, and right now, if you want to go to Hawaii, please go and enjoy it, but don't be a dick.
Yeah.
You got to follow the rules, man.
Well, how would it possibly work? First off, I would spend all 2 weeks in my room raising murder hornets. And then when I got to the 2-week period, I would yell, "Do my bidding, my little pretties," and the door would fly open and a huge flock of murder hornets would fly out.
A cloud over your head.
Yeah. And then I would yell at King Kamehameha, "I couldn't have gone snorkeling. Well, now you have this." Is there a person that is going, and these quarantines this is going on in other states and other places as well. It's not just Hawaii, but who would go to this other state or this other place and stay in a hotel room for 2 weeks? Isn't everyone going to break the rule? Is there anyone who could even afford, from a money standpoint or a time standpoint, to go to Hawaii, stay in your room for 2 weeks, and then go hit the sand? It's like anyone who showed up, I would call a liar. I mean, nobody's going to. Who's going to?
Yeah.
1 week, like you could do 4 days, maybe a week. 2 weeks, the average length of the stay is 9 days when you go to Hawaii. So anyone who shows up is going to break the rules, but you shouldn't document it like this guy did.
Well, and that's such a common thing. I mean, that's how everybody gets busted on everything. It's not because some guy was hiding in the bushes with a telephoto lens. It's because some dipshit has his own selfie and posts it. I mean, everybody just turns themselves in every day.
We don't have a reasonable, measured fear of cameras and the like. Like I've said it many times. Like you walk, the second they started putting cameras up in 7-Elevens, you would have thought, well, there'll be no more robberies at 7-Eleven. We can see the guy walking in. I can see what he looks like. We can see the license plate on his car. Oh no, they went up 30%. Like, why don't cameras, or cops, even cops shooting people, you'd think like, well, if they got the camera on, the dash camera's going, or people taking pictures and throwing themselves up. Yes.
Ring doorbell should have been the end of Porch Pirates. But here we are.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
you're right. I think people get used to things quicker than we think they will.
The camera thing has always been weird to me that we just it is not persuading people to do the right thing or not to do the right thing. speeding cameras don't slow people down. Surveillance cameras don't get people. They have the Ring doorbell. Although I think the Ring doorbell cameras, at least here in Los Angeles, when the cops announce we're not doing jack shit, you want to deputize your neighbor and get a fucking posse going and go on your own, knock yourself out. We're not doing. That's probably emboldened the people who are stealing all the shit on everyone's door. All right. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you said what I was going to say. It was perfect.
Yeah, ultimately, who cares how much footage there is of you engaging in illegal behavior if no one ever shows up to get you? Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, let me hit Geico. You got, they're doing a lot of sharing these days, and Geico would like to thank you for sharing all your dance moves and DIY haircut fails, and now they're going to share something with you. Geico, they're going to give back 15% on car and motorcycle policies to current and new customers because Geico's committed for the long haul. The 15% credit lasts your full policy term, by the way. Just visit geico.com/giveback for all the info and eligibility. All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
I Love Everything is the name of the special. It is so well crafted. It is so funny, poignant, thought-provoking. It's available now on Netflix. And if you want to see a true craft person at the height of his comedic powers, you will watch I Love Everything by Patton Oswalt. It was really enjoyable, Patton. And I'm assuming there's going to be some more Emmy nominations coming your way, because that was nice. It was a very well done special. Also, I'm Your Emotional Support Animal. It is available for pre-order now, my new book, and you can go to Amazon, bookmark us, and click on through. And if you want to see some of my stand-up, you go to youtube.com/Adam Carolla. So, until next time, Adam Carolla for Patton Oswalt and Bryan and Gina Grad saying mahalo.
Follow the Adam Carolla Show on Twitter at Adam Carolla Show. Follow us on Twitter at Adam Carolla. You can leave us a voicemail at 888-634-1744. Pre-order Adam's new book, I'm Your Emotional Support Animal. Get it now at adamcarolla.com. And remember, you can watch this broadcast at youtube.com/Adam Carolla.